Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tom Devine. I am with Bullet Train and AVPro Edge. And today we are going to talk about a new Bullet Train product. Bullet Train is AVPro Edge's line of cabling products. And today we're going to talk about USB. So before we get into this presentation and I can let you know how to ask questions and all that, I just wanted to start out with this first slide and a little bit of education here. We're going to be talking about USB 3.0 and 3.1. This is the latest specification from USB and allows for 4K transfer of audio video from cameras like the Logitech Brio. And with that, you have some limitations. As a lot of audio video integrators know, and that's where our background is, that with more increased bandwidth increases the challenge with delivering that signal long distances, and that's the same with USB as it is with HDMI. So with the 3.0 specification, USB actually says that 6 feet 6 inches is the max length of a 3.0 cable without getting errors. That is actually quite a drastic drop from USB 2.0 cables were 16 feet. So now we got to start thinking of ways how we can extend USB, extend it safely, stably, and that's where our engineers went to work and came up with this product here. So let's get into this presentation. Today, guys, we are talking about our USB 3.0 extension hub with 4 ports. It is in-wall rated, built with clear line fiber optics, and it's built to last. Comes in some various lengths. Just some housekeeping things. I have a questions tab on your GoToWebinar control panel. So if you're having trouble hearing me or seeing me, or you have a question about the presentation, don't hesitate to just put it right in that questions tab in the GoToWebinar control panel. I can see those questions, and then we can, address any of the questions you have. If you have the question, I'm sure other people do as well. And then if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, thank you so much for tuning in. Know that you can just put your questions directly into the GoToWebinar, or excuse me, the YouTube comment section, and then we'll address them there as well. So let's take a look about this product. This is a really exciting product for AVPro Edge and Bullet Train. Bullet Train has made HDMI cables. We work with Clearline, our favorite fiber optic company before, with our AOC cables, and we're using that same technology it takes to send high bandwidth signals long distances, and we're putting that into the USB realm. And what our engineers found out that USB is vastly different from HDMI. But where the things become the same is you still need the same well-manufactured cabling. You need to have well-manufactured products and pieces that are going to last a long time, and you have to have the know-how to figure out exactly what types of signals are going to be sent, tested, and made sure that those signals are going to be able to work for a long periods of time in mission critical situations. And so that's what we have done with this hub here. So let me take a look here. This, as you can see on my screen, I have my mouse up here, but I'm pointing around to these 4 ports. These are the USB ports. And on the other end, you just have another USB-A type of I guess it would be a mail port that you can plug into your computer. And once this device is connected to your computer, these ports act as if they were a part of your computer. So you have on your laptop, you have the USB slots right on the right or left side of your computer. Maybe on your dock you have a USB hub computer, or if you have a desktop, they'll be right on your tower. But these even though this is a hub that's going to be, up to, 30, 40 meters, 20, 15, 10, 5, whatever your choice would be for distances away from that device, it's going to work as if it was one of the ports that was directly connected to your device. And so that's what we're doing here. We are giving integrators a way to deliver extra USB capabilities, more USB ports, and deliver those USB devices that can be connected to the host from long distances away. And so, you know, with the hub here, I want to just kind of go over what we're going to be talking about is, you know, what this hub is, how it works, what kind of signals you can use with it, and then more importantly, what are the applications for integrators? Where are you going to use it? And to understand where you're going to use it, I want to just give you a little bit of information beforehand on what it does and why it's important that it does those things that allows it to work in those applications that we're going to tackle towards the end of the presentation. So this device can handle 4 USB devices at the same time. This could be 4 USB cameras, could be a camera and a microphone and a flash drive or a hard drive, could be a mouse, a keyboard, a hard drive and a camera. It could be 1 camera. You know, endless options for what USB is. Think of how often you yourself use USB every single day. Between our computers, our phones, our tablets, USB is our you know, the agreed upon standard for data transfer for our computer devices these days. And that USB stands for Universal Server Bus. That's always fun to say as well. So then we have super speed data rates. So know that it'll work with your, you know, the latest hard drives or the cameras that are going to be needing that super speed. One very, very specific piece of a feature is that it works with USB 3.1 and 3.0, sure, but it's also backwards compatible. So that allows you to work with 2.0 and 1.x devices that are going to be able to, no matter what type of USB device you plug into this hub, it's going to be able to pass that signal to the computer. Where some, because USB 3.0 and 3.1, the delivery process for data is different than USB 2.0 and lower, some 3.0 devices are only going to work with 3.0. But for this device, you're going to be able to be backwards compatible throughout any type of device that is connected. And then we used fiber optics inside to extend this signal. There's no, you know, 6 feet 6 inches isn't long enough. But if we convert that data into a light image and send it over fiber optics, we're able to send it much further. And that is the solution that we're using with this. And then it's in-wall rated as well. So you can just install this straight in line during new construction. So let's take a little bit of a closer look. You have the end. This is you're going to connect to your host device. This is your your host device being your computer or maybe your conferencing system, your team or Zoom's control setup in your conference room. And then here's going to be your port. This is where you're going to have your devices connected. It does have a power, and so as you can see here, all it needs is a 5-volt power, and then that is going to activate this to be able to do 3.1 and 3.0 signals. When it is unpowered, it'll still works no problem. It's just going to be able to do 2.0 and lower USB signals. So if you are going to be using some 3.0 capable products such as a USB camera or microphone, then you do want to make sure that you do have it plugged in. Even though we have this style plug-in, it's only 5 volts. So you would be able to plug this in from even the back of a TV. As you can see here, this is what it looks like all bundled up. So this is how it's going to come from you. You have this nice foam piece in line. You'll have a nice big cardboard box around it that protects it, and the actual hub is embedded into the styrofoam, so it can't be jumbled around during transport. So now let's just kind of go over the main features here. This device can support 4 USB cameras at one time. So put yourself into a conference room or a classroom, and you have a conferencing device, or you're working with a classroom in another city or another location, and you have webcam functionality. Well, you have one camera maybe on the classroom, but you may have another camera on the teacher's whiteboard or on the educational session. Well, the beauty of this thing is it will actually be able to support multiple cameras at the exact same time and pass it through this one cable. So you're able to do that. You'll also be able to have 4 cameras plugged in at the same time, but you would only really be able to have 2 of them active because we do need to still keep it under the 5 gigabit data rate. But that's no problem. You could have two 1080p cameras going at the exact same time, and then the functionality with the other two cameras so that you could go into your Zoom or your Teams meeting, and then you'd be able to, you know, select what camera you want to choose, and you would be able to select, if you had 4 cameras connected in your Zoom or Teams meeting setup, when you selected your video feed, it would have all 4 of them listed, and you could select which one you would want. I do have a question that came in here from Peter. So Peter, thank you so much for having a question here. Let's look. What size conduit would be needed to feed the cable through? It's going to be the same as a normal USB. So I actually don't know exactly what that would be, but if we look at this slide, you know, you definitely aren't going to want to slide this end through the conduit, but this is where you'll have to, this is what you'd have to put through the conduit. I don't have that exact slide, Peter, but since you signed up for the webinar, I'd be able to find out your contact information, your email at least, and I could follow up afterwards and give you the exact size of conduit needed for this device here. Great question. So like I said, it has a 5 gigabit per second data rate when we're using that 3.0, and so that's going to allow you to pass video and audio and all those signals at the exact same time as you're sending your classic keyboard and mouse USB commands. Up to 40 meters, there's no power required. You know, I want to make a big point of that. You know, even though it has a power supply and it has a power port here, there isn't power required. So if this was just running devices that work just fine on 2.0, which is most things, then you don't even have to have this power. It's only when you need to upgrade to having a 3.0 device like a 4K USB camera that you would need to be able to keep that powered. Then we have the bend radius being 5 millimeters. So that's extremely tight bend radius. That is dang near crimping the cable. But what that just basically means is we're able to do that because we're using that clear line, that fiber optic that is able to be malleable and moved around so well. And with our engineers match that with great copper, great protection that is going to be able to give you a strong cable with a really, really tight bend radius. So when you are running it through that conduit and something gets twirled up a little bit, you're not going to have a ton of problems. I do, you know, mention again, it's backwards compatible. So every type of USB is going to be able to work with this device. It has Kevlar inside the cabling. So inside the cabling, there is a super strong piece of Kevlar that pulls on a very specific part of the end of both of those, so that when you pull on the cable, you shouldn't be damaging the cable. You're not actually stretching the fiber or the copper. You're using that Kevlar to pull through conduit. And then UVC and UAC device support, so that you'd be able to, if it is a USB video device, we can support it, or an audio device can support it. And that's going to come into play with your conference room microphones, your conference room cameras. You know, this device is going to be able to support all that. So let's take a look at the Jumpstart guide. This, if you look at your handouts, guys, I gave you this same quick start. So as you can see, it's a little bit, you know, it's not exactly clear on this picture. So I want you to go to your handout section in your GoToWebinar control panel, and you'll actually be able to look at this Jumpstart guide a little bit better. It's loading up here. So what this is, though, this is going to be kind of your operating guide for this device. And it's really simple, right? It breaks down exactly what this is. 4-port device, can handle the USB that we've been talking about. We have our one end that we will plug into our laptop right here, into the super speed port if you have it, so that we can get those fast USB data rates. Then we have our device, you know, the hub, and we plug in our devices. So then we have multiple devices plugged in, and we power it up. Once we have powered it up, now any of these devices connected are going to go back to that computer or back to the host. So maybe it's a computer, maybe it's a control system, maybe it's a conferencing codec system, you'd be able to use this same USB extension for all of those. With the PSU, you're going to get 5 gigabits per second in data rate transfer, and without it, you get 480 megabits per second. We have, we did a lot of testing on this, and we plugged in tons of different devices, trying to make it as easy as possible for you when you're using it. So when we did that, we came across some different things that we thought would be great tips for troubleshooting. So if you're having any of these problems, you'll have this here right on the Jumpstart guide, what to do with it. Once your device isn't found, you got to make sure that the driver is still installed into the device. This is just a dumb hub. There's no control, there's no drivers in it. So if you have a keyboard or a mouse connected to your hub, but that you don't have that mouse's driver on your computer, well, it's not going to work. This hub isn't going to fix that problem. That's just basic USB. But then also, USB to video isn't working. Well, this doesn't support USB alt modes like HDMI and DisplayPort alt modes. This is a true USB extension device. So you just want to make sure that you weren't in those type of modes, and you could send classic USB signals, and then you'd have no problems. Webcam not showing when using multiple cameras. This is, you may have, if you have multiple 3.1 or 3.0 camera resolutions at the same time, that's going to require a lot of bandwidth. And so, you want to make sure that you are switching those cameras to 1080p if you are using 2 cameras, or you could do one at 4K 30. That's going to allow you, to allow enough data to flow with the camera plus the other data that would need to pass through. But those are just some quick tips if you need it. Now that we kind of understand the device, let's get back to this PowerPoint and let's talk about some of the applications here. So, Teams, Zoom, that's a part of everybody's everyday work environment across the world right now. And we built this device to work specifically with cameras that are going to be recognized through Teams and Zoom, and we have tested them thoroughly. So you'd be very, very comfortable if you're in a conference room or a classroom and you need to have a webcam that's going to be further than 6 feet away from the computer, which is almost every single time. This device is going to help you out with that. You could get our 5 meter if you don't need to go very far, or you could use our 40 meter if you really needed to send some distances far, a long ways. And with that, you can manage 4 USB-C type 4K cameras. Now you're probably saying, Tom, how are you going to do USB-C? As you can see, you showed me a picture of it. That's only USB. That's USB-A, but your cameras are USB-C. That's no problem. You just let us know when you order, and we have the adapters that would allow for just USB-C to USB-A conversion. It's very, very simple, and you can use those adapters on all 4 of the ports at the exact same time, and we can provide those for you if needed. Then USB-C type data transfer, hard drives, printers, other things like that. That's going to still work for this as well. But if it is USB-C or USB-A, don't be thinking just because it is USB-C that this port can't handle or this hub can't handle it. This hub can handle it. And we want to make sure that you know that, and it can handle 4 devices at the exact same time. And then, just talking a little bit about power to get that 3.1 on the last bullet point. So let's look at a simple diagram of how this is pulled together. So we have a computer right here connected to our hub. We have our hub connected to the wall outlet, and we have our 4 cameras connected at the exact same time. That meaning I'm on this computer when I'm on Teams or Zoom, I would be able to go into my options and I could select any of these 4 cameras instead of my camera that would be built into my computer, and then that's what would be accessing. It's a great way to manage multiple rooms or multiple things in a room that you want to show. And let's look at a little closer at this same diagram, but in a more of the application so we can see where this is going to be. So you have your laptop, or this could be your conference room controller right here. And on there, we would have our options in Zoom or Teams to select our 2 cameras. So I could select my whiteboard camera, or I could select my room camera. So I have my 4K camera right here. I have my web camera right here. And, you know, I would be able to select between 2. Okay, I'm teaching on the whiteboard. I want you to look at the whiteboard. I would select whiteboard by just clicking it right here on my controller. Okay, now it's gonna go back to the room. I can click room right here, and that's gonna be all managed through your computer, and your hub is just doing the connections for you. So that is how this product works. Now let's look a little deeper of where this product fits, because you may think I've been talking a lot about cameras, and that is gonna be your go-to. Okay, if you hear that they are installing cameras for a conference room system and it's a USB camera, well, this is a no-brainer. This is where this product fits in right away. It solves that problem that integrators have been telling us about. We have it now. USB 3.1, it's here. But if you think a little deeper, USB is everywhere. So we can use USB for all sorts of things that are more than just those cameras. Now, don't get me wrong, the camera is going to be probably one of the devices connected in a lot of these scenarios, but we can still connect a lot of other things. So let's take a look. You know, in school, you may have a teacher that has a computer located in a secure location. Maybe it's in the teacher's hub, and they have their keyboard and mouse and their screen in their classroom, but they don't want students being able to access those computers. Well, they could have their keyboard or mouse at their computer plugged into this hub, and they'd be able to manipulate that computer that would be connected up to 40 meters away. That's the same thing with a corporate office, except now we're talking about more into cameras, but you can still have remote control podiums throughout different sections of a building that would be able to control one computer. If you had 4 of these extension hubs out to 4 different sections connected to one computer, you could have a mouse and keyboard at every single section, and wherever you were at, you would be able to control that computer. For retail, you know, you think of how tight some retail checkout counters are. Maybe they don't have space to put an actual computer there, but they still need to have the computer for ringing up and for checking out. Well, with a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, they may be able to, you know, extend all of those signals to a computer that's locked away in the manager's office, or, you know, somewhere where it's out of the way and no one can mess with it. And then hospitality. I mean, you just think of any hotel, any hotel lobby where you have, you know, maybe some TVs and some signage, and you have a big counter for people to check you in and out. Well, you could be running multiple different, all of this stuff off of 1 or 2 computers that is tucked away into a secure rack location, and then use these devices to connect all the peripherals, like your keyboard and your mouse or your microphone or whatever would be needed. And then also in luxury homes, you know, tucking away a home computer into an AV rack's going to be keeping that installation very clean, but using this hub is going to allow anybody around the house to access it whenever they'd like. And these are just ones that I came up with, but I'm sure you will be able to think of tons of different ways to use this device in ways that I'm not even thinking of yet. And this is still AVPro Edge, guys. You have a 10-year warranty. It's a no BS warranty. If there's a problem, we'll fix it. Simple as that. I do have the specifications here on the back page, you know, so that if you guys are looking through this, you need to note it later. This is, of course, always on our website as well. But this is going to be the specifications that are going to break down the different speeds and when it's powered and when it's not powered. So if you ever needed to compare a USB device to our specifications, they are available. And that is everything I have for you guys today. I do want to show you real quick that I have the website is up, so we can go here to bullettraincables.com. So if you just go to bullettraincables.com, you go to our products, USB is right here, and we have our USB hub. So you can use this to show your customers to look at. This is going to have all the assets you need. It's going to have all the descriptions, the different connection diagrams. We'll have different pictures that you'd be able to see, get the different resources that you need. But that's all available and live at bullettraincables.com. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this training. We will be back with more training when we have new products. As you can tell, we've been putting out products nonstop, at least once a month. So we're hoping to keep that pace going. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you do have any questions that are after this, no problem. Just hit me up directly. My email is tom@avproglobal.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.